yeah, I could just do DJing, and loads of people make it from just DJing, but I wanted to have like something that I could pull out, and like I could go on stage and sing while I DJ. That's completely different. You don't get so many people doing that. There's so many more people emerging now doing it. But like when I first started, it wasn't that heard of. I like to be bright. I like to stand out, be a bit different. I see my support network as a really safe space.
I don't know what you heard about me, but when I step into the club, I bring the heat. All the ravers jump into the beat. DJ play the VIP. I don't know what.
Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the New Generation podcast. My name is Annelies Rom, and today we are inviting Ekstatic. She's a drum and bass vocalist, a DJ, a podcaster, a vocalist for a metalcore band, a tattoo enthusiast, and even a former sushi chef. Today we find out everything about her passions, what drives her, and what exactly makes her a part of this new generation. As always in this podcast, we don't choose the guests, but our previous guests do. And Ekstatic was chosen by Gifta. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, and tell us, how do you know Gifta?
Thanks for having me. I have known Gifta for a couple of years now, and we've always been in chats. Do you know what? I can't even remember how we met properly, but she's a really lovely soul. She's got her head screwed on, proper businesswoman, and she took me on as a resident at Phase Records at the beginning of the year. And we've got a tune in the works coming out next year. I don't want to say too much on that because not much has been confirmed or put out into the world yet. So hold tight for that. But yeah, I can't praise Gifta enough. She's a really good friend.
Okay, she also said that you're also a fellow podcaster. So what does that mean?
I recently graduated uni, and for my final project, I decided to create a podcast channel. A lot of people were going down the routes of recording singles and whatnot because I was on a music performance course, and I really wanted to do something different that could benefit me in the future. I could have released a single and got streams from that, but to me, a podcast was really beneficial. I wanted to showcase drum and bass on a wider scale. I wanted to bring locals from Birmingham and beyond. What did I call it? I forgot my Second City Sounds. That's what it was. Because obviously we're in the second city and I want people to hear our sound. So I wanted to bring on fresh producers, people that have been in the scene for years, underground producers. I wanted to give them a platform to not just producers as well, event organizers, promoters. I wanted to give everyone an equal platform and an equal chance to promote themselves as an artist, promoter, etc. And I did that. I recorded the first session at my university, and then I moved it over to Brum Radio. It has been paused for the moment because life gets in the way, and after uni, balancing everything and trying to make a living as well, because I was doing this all for free at Brum Radio. I didn't get paid to do it, so it's a lot of time and effort that went into that. So it's just trying to find a sweet spot to get back into that, to press play again.
Yeah, you mentioned that you could have written some lyrics, you could have written a track, but you chose to do a podcast, which I think teaches you way different things than just maybe like writing a track. What did it teach you?
The thought process you had to go through to create like a show that would keep people hooked, because it was an hour long and I wasn't just playing music. I wasn't getting someone to do a guest mix. I was interviewing them. I wanted to know about their life, how they got into music. I wanted people to have a really personal like effect when they listened to the podcast, so like they were actually getting to know the person personally. I also learned a lot about editing. You can't just sit in a room and chat with your mates and just upload that. It has to be edited. There's a lot of thought that has to go into the questions to make people, well, to keep their attention, because if you're asking boring questions, people aren't going to listen. So it's about finding like the right questions. I learned a lot about the scene as well. You have to obviously do your research on the person you're interviewing. You can't just go and write down a load of questions. You've got to research them, where they've been before this or where they're going. loads of stuff like that. It was really, really important for me to learn about that, and also being in like a radio environment, because I really love radio. I love what Charlie T does, and it would be nice to have like an Annie Mac. Like, it'd be nice to have more women radio presenters in the scene.
Do you see yourself as the next Charlie T, maybe?
I wouldn't say out there. There's a lot of work to be done, portfolio to be made, but it would be really cool to follow in her footsteps for sure.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of things. So you've got your podcast, which is now on hold, but yeah, you've still got that. Then you're also DJing. You're writing vocals. You're also a vocalist in a metalcore band. Like, you're doing like a lot of stuff. Would you say that you're an ambitious person?
Yeah, I'm really trying. I didn't want to like pigeonhole myself, and I really wanted to try so many different avenues, because I could just do DJing, and loads of people make it from just DJing, but I wanted to have like something that I could pull out, and like I could go on stage and sing while I DJ. That's completely different. You don't get so many people doing that. There's so many more people emerging now doing it, but like when I first started, it wasn't that heard of. So it was really nice to just expand my options and have so many different avenues to go down.
And why is that you chose that?
I just like variety. I get bored very easily, and I just love the variety of having so many different things to do. I don't just sing on one genre as well, like with the metal band as well as drum and bass. It's not just one particular genre. It's kind of like exciting in a way, because you've got so many different things happening in different parts of music and your life. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's really good. It's good fun.
So you're doing all of those different things. Do you also think that there's like different sides of your personality that come to life in some ways?
Yeah, for sure. I think, I don't know. I feel like with my podcast and stuff like that, people kind of see more of me, but DJing and singing, you're listening to how I'm feeling, my emotions and what I've been through and whatnot. But there's this persona on stage. I'm more confident and I'm like ecstatic. That's why I call myself ecstatic, because I've got so much energy, but I'm not like that all the time. I'm quite chilled out. I can be quite a shy person around new people. So it's kind of nice to have those different areas where you can kind of bring out different parts of your personality. I think it's like, I really struggle with discipline. That's the thing. I'm like a massive procrastinator. But I think when I'm kind of like in that zone, I'm picking what part to focus on. And I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm going to sing today, I'm going to be really like angry and whatnot. It's all dependent on like, if someone sends me a track, what kind of vibe that track is, then you kind of reach into that different emotion of those tracks, and then it all comes together. I don't think there's like, I don't really have a set way of doing things. It's just like what comes to me.
And how do you get into those emotions? Because you say like you don't have a set way of doing it, but like there's must be like a way of like, oh yeah, you're hearing a tune and it makes you feel a certain way. How do you go into that energy, into that emotion of that track?
I think I've got to be very clear-headed, depending on what's going on in my life, depends how I write and whatnot. Not all the time. A lot of tracks, a lot of lyrics that I've written have just come to me. But I think it's nice to have like a level head. I'll always sit down with a cup of tea, get my notes up on my phone and just listen to the track and see what comes to me. I don't think it's a thing of like how I'm feeling on that day. It's like if it sparks a certain emotion or how the track sounds to me. If it's an angry jump up track, I'm going to sing moody lyrics to kind of invoke that feeling. So yeah, it just depends really what it sounds like or how it kind of feels to me.
Then going back to like the whole topic of this podcast, this is like a new generations podcast. We're talking about like, literally the new generation coming up and stuff. But what does being a new generation mean to you?
New sounds, new energy. And like, I don't know, it's really cool to keep that root to the underground and kind of bring that with you, because you obviously want that to survive. So I think the new generation definitely is so good for the culture. It's amazing how many artists are emerging and literally just smashing it at the moment. There's kind of like, it's all gas and no brakes in the drum and bass scene right now. And I think it's really important to bring that grassroots and underground sound with us as well. Yeah, new generation is keeping the sounds alive, but also experimenting with new sounds, creating new sounds, and still being like one big family.
What are some of those new sounds and new vibes that you're talking about?
Well, There's a lot of controversy at the moment. A lot of people are saying that drum and bass is going a different way than it has been, but it's evolving. And I think with music, it always has to evolve. Like, you're not going to get a song from the 70s being made like it did back then now. So I think a lot of that new sound that people are pushing, like Gifta, for example, or Posk with like their heavy rollers, and Gifta with the neuro sounds, those new sounds are being pushed. And like JB with his recent release of Brum to Ibiza, those are kind of new sounds, similar, his originality. Yeah, I think it all plays a part in coming together and creating that scene.
Or are you, like, as yourself, bringing to that new generation, you feel?
I think being quite versatile is something that a lot, like the new generation, needs. And I'm not saying that other artists that have been around for ages aren't versatile at all, because you could sit down and make a garage tune and whatnot. But I think versatility is a massive thing, because a lot of DJs might pigeonhole themselves by starting on one genre and pushing them for that one genre, and that's all they're going to be booked for. But if they then find like a really nice liquid track they like playing, or a playlist, they've pigeonholed themselves to just being a jump up DJ. So I think versatility is a massive thing, which is why I push myself to do so many different things.
So yeah, one of those things that you are versatile in is like the genres that you're saying. So, and one of those examples is like you being a vocalist in the metalcore band, which I've mentioned before. How did you get in this? Like, or what came first, drum and bass or metalcore?
Drum and bass I've had in my life since I was about, 12, 13. But I used to listen to Evanescence when I was younger.
Yeah.
My dad was in a rock and roll band, so not like heavy, but I love like all different genres. Then when I went to uni in my second year, we were tasked with creating a band, and you actually had to pick your bands, whereas opposed to first year, they picked them for you. And I just kind of like sat there because I wasn't really like buzzing to pick my own band, because obviously there's quite a lot of favoritism in classes and whatnot. So I didn't want to like get up and rush to anyone. And I kind of looked around and I saw these 4 guys just sat there, and I walked over, I went, I'm going to be a vocalist. And they went, okay, well, we're going to do a metal band. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just kind of dived straight in. We have a single out now. We're working on an EP. We put a single release party on last year. And yeah, I think without uni, that wouldn't have happened. We have a really good bond. We get on really well. And musicality wise, like our drummer is pitch perfect, which is crazy. Guitarist, crazy, out of this world, same as our bass player. He's also a part of a band called Santu, which are getting absolutely massive at the moment. They've been booked in London, they've played internationally. So yeah, I think we all kind of really pushed each other to create this band and decided to stay together after we left, which is why now we're creating our EP.
That's really nice, because like if you think about it, you say like it wouldn't have happened without uni, and like you didn't really listen to the genre before.
Everyone goes through a little emo phase, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was more kind of like Sleeping with Sirens and stuff like that. I wasn't too into like that stuff. So, and I won't scream. I've said this to the boys, like, oh, I can learn, but it will take you years to master. It's a skill that you can't just come out with it, because you can really damage your vocal cord. So I've said to them, like, it's a case of research and being able to learn the skill and perfect the skill. And that takes years to master. So I think the most I'll do in tracks is like growl. You won't hear me screaming. It's progressive metal. So yeah, the tracks are a lot longer than normal, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm really into metalcore too. Like I love Bring Me the Horizon, Sleep Token, all of that stuff. I think there's also quite an overlap between metal and drum and bass.
Yeah, the BPMs are the same, the energy is the same. I mean, obviously we're not moshing at raves, but come to one of our gigs and you're going to happily mosh. It's crazy how similar they are.
Yeah, what are you taking from your metalcore band into your drum and bass and vice versa? Like
musicality wise, when you're creating a track, you can obviously implement like bass sounds and whatnot into your production. A lot of like my angrier stuff goes into the metal music, whereas I'm kind of like airy fairy on liquid. And I think this year I've collaborated with quite a few jump up producers, and having those angry vocals on the metal music really helped me transfer that over to the jump up, because you can't just have like quite a low soft voice with jump up. You've got to make an impact with the actual track itself. So I think that was really a good skill to kind of bring over and use that in the world of jump up as well.
And do you think there's a place for like actual like metal vocals in drum and bass?
There's producers doing that actually. I can't remember who it was.
It's like Toronto's Broken does that, and I think
I can't pronounce their name. Is it like Pyrapus or something?
Pyrapus? But yeah, Pirapus.
Yes.
I don't know how you pronounce that either. So
I'm so sorry. If you ever if you watch this podcast, I'm sorry, we can't pronounce your name, but I swear they implemented metal or some sort of inspiration into their tracks. But yeah, there's definitely a place for it for sure.
Yeah, so let's say that tomorrow, like one of your metal songs would get a remix, like a drum and bass remix from any DJ, any drum and bass DJ. Who would it be and why?
Bunchin, I think.
Nice choice. And why?
Only because because I think his knowledge, he kind of stands out to me as like a metal guy. But I love his tracks, and they can be quite heavy as well. So I just have a feeling that he'd smash that.
Yeah, maybe like from new generation, like you're growing up as an artist, like you're progressing. Like what's growing up? What were your biggest inspiration, and like how far have they gotten you already?
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah,
Becky Hill.
Nice.
That didn't take me long. Becky Hill. She's insane. The vocal ability and Afterglow obviously played such a big part in everyone's lives when it came out. Everyone knows that track, and how humble she is as well. Like, she didn't want to be put on that track. She didn't want to be known as the singer on that track. So in itself, it's kind of really, really humble and very like inspirational to know that not just that song kind of made her big. She's got so many other tracks that people know her for, like Disconnect, for example, that came out, I think it was last year. And she's just done a tour. She was singing pretty much every night, and it was just crazy, like the stamina and the determination of that artist is something that I look up to, and the drive as well. My dad also plays a big part in my inspiration, and so does my mum, my sister as well. We're quite a musical family, so I think without them I wouldn't have actually started singing or doing anything in music.
Is your family then the reason that you like started doing this, because you're like growing up around music, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. My sister taught me how to DJ, so thank you, Lily. Yeah, she's taken a bit of a backseat from DJing, but her name was Skeptic, and she supported so many big names, Nicky Blackmarket, Gov, and just going to events with her and seeing like the crowd reaction and herself enjoying like being in the moment so much, it kind of made me want to pursue that. And then I moved to Birmingham, got into the scene a little bit, and I'm really grateful for everyone that I worked with and people that book me. But my mum took us to performing arts school on the weekends and whatnot. So I think, and my dad and his band took us to his shows and whatnot. So they played a very big part in me gaining confidence and also musical knowledge as well.
That's a whole different meaning to like the drum and bass family, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Your sisters taught you how to DJ. So she... like taught you a lot of stuff, but how did you make it your own? Because like all DJs have kind of their own sound, I guess. So how did you find yours? I
love minimal and rollers. That's where I started. And jump up always comes in phases. It comes and goes in phases. It's really big at the moment and it hasn't dipped at the minute. But I think I really wanted to push those minimal sounds. My sister mixes a little bit heavier than me. She also mixes at 182, which is a bit fast for me. Bit strange, but okay. It was nice that we had our separate sounds, and when we did mix together, they kind of gelled really well. But I really wanted to push a different sound and kind of like essentially stand out, but also blend in as well.
And how's it with your vocals? How did you find your sound there?
I started on liquid, so I will always be a liquid girl with vocals. That has my heart. And then Incursion Audio really helped me push that sound. And I can't thank Zach enough at Incursion Audio. He's really looked after me. I've worked with so many amazing people that are on his roster. And it kind of also gave me the confidence to work with other people. Like I said, wanted to be versatile and have a bit of variety. And now I've worked with Crewcast on jump up tracks with Primate, Magistrate. I'm working with Vault Recordings, loads at the minute. They're really looking after me. Same with Incursion Audio. And yeah, I think liquid is where I started, and that will always have my heart, and I will always jump on a liquid track when there's a chance and a possibility. But it's really nice to have different genres that I can go to as well.
A totally different question now. I saw that you have some really cool tattoos. I've got some tattoos as well, but what do tattoos mean to you?
Not all of them have a meaning.
Okay.
I've tried to think of meanings for pretty much all of them, but not all of them do. Tattooing to me is a way of expressing myself. So this is like my canvas. I've got a lot of different emotions on there. I've got some like memorial pieces. I used to be a sushi chef, like before I got into the music scene, which a lot of people don't know. So I have like a few sushi tattoos on my legs. But I think, yeah, it's a way of expressing myself. The same with my hair color, stretched ears and whatnot. I like to be bright. I like to stand out, be a bit different. I don't have sleeves, like nothing is planned. This whole leg I didn't sit down and go, right, I'm going to get this here, this here. I just go to the tattoo artist and I'm like, right, where do you think this would look best? And they decide. So it's nice to have like my own creativity, but then also have the creative touch from the tattoo artist as well.
I want to know more about the sushi story now.
Well, I think it was like I took a gap year after college, which turned into like 2 gap years because I just didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I applied to be a sushi chef. And I was doing that throughout uni as well. But then I thought, I hate hospitality. I'm not doing this anymore. So I just packed it in. But it was really cool. It was a really cool skill to learn.
What did you take from that to drum and bass, if anything?
I think I had a lot of time to sit in my head. So I was kind of just humming to myself a lot of the time. So I think it was just kind of more perseverance that I need to pursue something in music and not be stuck in the kitchen.
Right. Yeah. Great. Then going back to tattoos are a way of expressing yourself. It's like music's also a way of expressing yourself. Like your vocals are a way of expressing everything. Basically, that we do is a way of expressing ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
How important is it to you to be able to do that?
Very important. I'm quite an emotional person, and I think I've always been very in touch with my emotions. I'm a massive overthinker, and I think having those different outlets is really good for me to not sit in my head. And I know a lot of people struggle with mental health and whatnot. I can make myself sick with overthinking. It's a common thing for a lot of people, don't get me wrong, but I have a tattoo on my leg that says overthinker with multiple different heads being held. So I think it's a way of being able to like direct my thoughts and how I'm feeling. I dye my hair to just be a bit different because I like to stand out. I have tattoos on my legs dedicated to people that I've lost and I love, and they'll always be a part of me. I've got stupid tattoos on my leg. I've designed a pizza, but the pepperoni pieces are vinyls instead of pepperoni because I love music, but I like pizza as well. So yeah, it's very important to be able to express yourself. And I think music is one of the best ways to do that, and tattoos as well.
And yeah, that's something that the new generation seems to be better at.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, for example, my nan, I don't think, she kind of looks at me and she's like, I didn't think my granddaughter would be this tattooed and she'd have that coloured hair. And I'm thinking, well, you get your hair dyed red. Surely that's a way of you expressing your individuality and who you are as a person. So maybe you didn't have as much like access as we do as expressing ourselves. Like people write on Facebook all the time about how they're feeling because it's like their personal diary and their timeline and whatnot, or journals and speaking to friends. But I feel like a lot of that older generation, they didn't have that access to express themselves. So I think now it's such an important thing to educate people on as well.
How do you feel most comfortable expressing yourself? Because you're saying, yeah, we've got social media, but you've also got your music and stuff.
I'm not like massively into oversharing my life on social media. I think music is one of the best ways that I find expressing how I feel, purely because I know that a lot of people would relate to it as well. And not everyone's going to want to sit here and listen to me blabbering on about me being sad or I haven't eaten today and my stomach hurts and that's my own fault. But I think if it's in a song and it's catchy, people are going to listen to it.
What helps you when you feel sad or whatever, like, or maybe even happy? What helps you? Where do you go to?
My mum, my sister, my boyfriend, my friends. I have such a good support network around me. I can't fault them. Music as well. I think music is more of an escape for me, whereas like I see my support network as a really safe space. I mean, not that the escape from music isn't a safe space, because it is. That's where I can express how I'm really feeling. But I think with my friends, that support network is something that makes me feel safe.
The support network is always very important, I think. We've talked about a lot. What's next for you?
What's next for me? I have a new tune coming out on the 8th of November on Crewcast with Don Darko and Bass Ventura. It's a really cool ethereal track. Bass Ventura is a beatboxer, so all the sounds that you hear in this track, Don Darko has taken them from his beatboxing and made them into basses and different sounds, and I've just added a vocal over the top. It's really cool. It's like jump up infused with like rollers, and yeah, Crewcast have really looked after me, so big ups to them for giving this one a home. And I'm also playing that same day at Beeline's birthday bash in Birmingham, and yeah, I'm just continuing to work on loads of collabs that hopefully will see the light of day next year. Nice,
yeah. Looking forward to that. So I've got one last question for you. Who do we need to interview next?
Right, I'm going to keep it rolling on the female side, but I'm going to also keep it rolling on the vocalists. This lady is definitely one to watch. She's a really lovely person, really down to earth. Her music is so sick, wicked producer, wicked vocalist, wicked songwriter, and a wicked DJ. And that's why I'm going to nominate Veridity.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Thank you for your time. This is such a nice conversation.
Yeah, it was really nice. Thank you so much for having me.